Resident Evil. How were there 6 of you? Resident Evil, the final chapter. If it is actually the final chapter, it's not like, a film series has had a movie called The Final Whatever and then made like 6 more of them. I'm talking about you, Friday the 13th. This is the 6th film in the Resident Evil series, final chapter. It was written and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. He's wrote all of them, but only directed the first one, the 4th one, and the 5th, and the 6th. So he's directed most of them. He didn't direct the second or the third. This film starts off with, the normal thing that Alice does where she's talking about, what happened prior and stuff. And it starts to change a little bit of the backstory of stuff, because she talks about the creation of the T-virus and the guy who created it to save his little girl, his daughter, from her disease that she had where she wasn't able to walk. They make it so now she has like an aging disease that's gonna kill her. So like they say, like by the time she's like by I think it's 25, she'll be like 80 years old or something like that. And so that's why he created the T-virus. He not in a wheelchair like he was in the previous movie. It's played by a different actor. And then, so this isn't going to be spoiling anything. It's literally the beginning of the movie. And he gets murdered, which completely throws off the entire plot of Apocalypse. That one's all about, Alice and everybody trying to survive the apocalypse, and their way out of Raccoon City is to rescue this guy's daughter. So if he's dead, that completely ruins and messes up the backstory of previous movies. And so then this film is all about Alice trying to get basically a Deus Ex Machina. Of course, you make the final movie and you throw a Deus Ex Machina in it to end it, instead of finding an actual real clever way to end it. So there is a antivirus for the T-virus that is airborne, that can be released, that Umbrella has, and its course is hidden in the Raccoon City Hive. And Alice needs to get it. She has 48 hours to get it, or the world's going to end, and, it'll wipe out all the zombies. So, it's pretty ridiculous. The movie starts off in a weird place from the previous film, because the previous film, Alice shows up at Washington, D.C., meets with Wesker, and the Red Queen's going to kill everybody, so I gotta stop her. And then it starts off this movie, and she's in the middle of Washington, D.C., the wreckage of it, and you don't know what the hell's going on. It's really weird because, especially with the starting of it, because they kind of basically throw away the entire, ending of the previous film, because it was like Wesker wanting to destroy, the Red Queen so that the world doesn't end. But then when this one starts, you find out after a few minutes that it was a trick, and he tried to kill her, and she escaped or something. They don't really go into it. It's just this, big gap that just doesn't make any sense. Alice has to find this Deus Ex Machina airborne cure for the virus, and it just doesn't make any sense, because if Umbrella had a cure for the virus, and for the last 4 or 5 movies they've been trying to figure out how to stop the virus, why wouldn't they have used it? It made no sense. And the dumb thing is that they, wanted to destroy the world and rebuild it so they would be just the Umbrella Corporation, like some evil Noah's Ark. It doesn't make much sense. And what starts off is what is a recurring theme in this movie, just random action scenes for the point of having action. If you've seen the trailer, you saw that big flying weird zombie bird bat thing that's massive. Yeah, that's literally just popped up out of nowhere. She fights it, and that's it. That's the last you see of it. It had no purpose. And you'll see that in this movie, that a lot of that sort of stuff happens. The action scenes feel to have very little purpose, and it's just there just to have action scenes. The film feels like when Anderson wrote it, he just wrote a bunch of action scenes that he thought would be cool, and then just tried to find some bullshit way to connect them all together and make a movie. The story is completely incoherent, mostly. It just kind of hops from action scene to action scene with really nothing that's actually makes any sense connecting them. Then another major recurring theme that happens through this movie is, along with the action scenes just being random and feeling like they don't actually have a point, is Alice gets knocked out like 3 or 4 times during this movie, and then wakes up in some different place, and then exposition happens. It's find a cleverer, better way to actually progress the story than just having Alice get knocked out, wake up, and either there's an action scene where she learns something, or there's just people there and they tell her shit. It's really, really lazy, just bad writing. It makes no sense. And that's not even like the worst parts about this movie. The worst part of this movie is it just goes, since it goes from action scene to action scene to action scene without much like actual story, so like it just feels broken and incoherent. The action, it's ridiculously like hard to watch. There's so much going on, and it's not like there's actually really much going on in the scene. The camera placement is changing between cuts, and it's cut between the action scenes. It's so hard to follow what's going on because most of these action scenes, the cuts last about a second. It's ridiculous. You can see about a second before they cut to it, and cut and then cut. And sometimes they'll cut 2 or 3 times within 1 second. It'll just be boom, boom, boom. And you're like, what the fuck did I just see? I don't understand what was going on. And it just, someone will punch, and then it'll cut from like 3 different views around that punch and stuff, and it'll just keep bouncing back and forth around just this fist fight between 2 characters. And it'll break the 180 rule, which to me isn't like a big thing if you do it right, but this movie just doesn't know how to do that. Like, Anderson just for some reason decided to film every action scene from like 16 different angles, and then his editor is just like a kid in a toy store just hitting buttons on the keyboard when he's editing or something, because literally it just cuts between like 5 different freaking angles of like one punch within 2 seconds. It's ridiculous. It's so hard to see what the hell is going on. And when you can tell what's going on, it's still just horrible to watch because your eyes hurt. Because they're constantly bouncing around the frame just trying to see what's going on. Because someone will punch and then they'll cut and then you have to find what's going on again. And it just keeps doing that. It's just assault on your brain trying to actually just see what's happening between all of these cuts. It literally feels like sometimes a cut will last 2 to 3 frames. It's nuts. And that's the entire movie. Every action scene, every single one is like that. If it's not like some kind of wide angle, which is rare, it's just do from like really close, and it's mind-boggling. My eyes hurt every time there's an action scene. My eyes hurt just trying to watch it. And then you get introduced to some new characters. I mean, obviously Claire shows up again, because for some reason the whole entire world is destroyed and Alice is bouncing around all over the United States, yet somehow she still keeps running into Claire. But you get introduced to new characters, which are basically just fodder for zombies. And every time one of them dies, it gets, all emotional, the music swells, and they try and focus on it and make you feel bad for this person dying. But I don't care. I don't know who this person is. This person has been here for like 30 seconds and then they died. I have no emotional connection to these characters. They're not even characters. They're literally just things getting eaten by zombies. They're completely pointless. But every single one that dies, almost, they try and make you feel it. And you're like, oh no. They want you to have some emotional reaction, but how can you when this person has been in this movie for 2 minutes? And then even then, all that they've done is just been grungy. You're just sitting there with dirt on them with a weird, broken, half put together weapon, and they're just I'm here and I'm angry. How am I supposed to feel for any of these characters when they die? It's really bad. And that leads into another big problem this movie has, is anytime something's supposed to either feel epic or thrilling or sad and emotional, they just swell in this music like crazy, and it has those really obvious shots that try and convey the emotion, and it just gets so ridiculous. They force it so hard it seems fake. Anytime anything's supposed to be cool, someone saying a one-liner or some sort of action scene happens supposed to be epic, or someone gets killed that's supposed to be sad, it's so forced, it's comical. You're just is someone making fun of the Resident Evil movies, or is it supposed to be serious? Because the movie seems like it's supposed to be serious, but it's this weird thing that doesn't make any sense. It's Anderson had only ever seen the really cheesy, shitty action movies from the late 90s and early 2000s, like those really crappy like direct-to-DVD B movies that you'd see on the Sci-Fi Channel, and thought that's what legitimate film was. And he made that, not realizing that those movies are shit and they're made purposely because they're shit and people watch them to laugh at them. But he made those and then like didn't realize that it wasn't serious. Which I know isn't the case because he has made a couple good movies in the past. I mean, Event Horizon is phenomenal. I'm so glad that the Resident Evil movies hopefully are actually done now and he can maybe go back and make something that's actually good, like Event Horizon. But I digress, back to the review. As this movie goes on, the plot starts to go in, like, you know, these weird, dumb, not making any sense places, but then as you realize that they've just thrown away everything from the previous movies, and they're just like, we're gonna go really hard on this, you know, umbrella corporation, like, it orchestrated the whole outbreak, and they wanted the world to end, and that's why they haven't cured the zombies, because they have this, you know, antivirus. It just gets... once you figure out the pattern, it becomes somewhat predictable, actually. Like, you guess what's going to happen, but then you're like, no, that would be dumb. They're not going to do that, and then they do it. And, like, the actual twist of the end of the movie is, like, as you're watching the movie, you're like, okay, I bet that's what it's going to be, but that would be super dumb. Like, that wouldn't make any sense and would be really silly. And just completely just, like, ruin the entire point of the previous movies, and wouldn't make any sense. Like, you know, and they do it, and it's just like, what? I don't get it. What was his plan here? And so, I mean, there's just points of this movie, especially in the action scenes, where I literally laughed out loud because it was dumb. Like, there's one scene, I won't get into it in case you actually want to see the movie, you know, because you like the movies because they're shit. Which I mean, I can understand that. They, you know, if you can get past how fucking dumb they are, then you could possibly enjoy these movies just because they're shitty. If you actually legitimately enjoy these movies and think they're good, I'm not going to judge you, but I will not ever understand your taste in movies. But there's a scene where they throw this barrel, there's a person running, zombies chase them, they throw this barrel, it's on fire, full of gasoline, so it explodes, and it literally lands right behind this person, like a foot behind this person, this giant, massive explosion that kills like a ton of zombies behind this person, yet it doesn't even touch them, and I just laughed, I couldn't help it. And there's stuff like that in this movie, it's like, you know, not even just in the action, the twists and stuff, where it's just, you can't help but laugh, and you're just like, really? Are you serious? And that's the movie, and it's I don't know how these movies kept getting made. I mean, they at one point in the beginning with the first two were, you know, entertaining B movies that, you know, you don't take seriously, and then they just became this just horrible shit show that somehow studios are dropping millions of dollars on. And people are going to see it, and they made 6 of these damn movies. You know, like, there's some shitty action franchises out there, like Fast and the Furious, that, like, actually have some sort of redeeming quality. Like, the action is ridiculous, but it's fun. It doesn't take itself seriously, and you're like, I enjoy that. They can keep making these movies for all of eternity, and I don't care because they're just fun and enjoyable to watch. They have some sort of redeeming quality, but, like, these don't. And I don't know how they kept getting made. And I really don't know what else to say about this movie. I mean, if you don't like shitty B action films, then don't go see this. There's no point. You're just gonna be feeling like you wasted your money. I mean, I feel like I wasted my money a bit on it. But if you like just terrible movies because they're fun and you enjoy laughing like crazy at them, and, you know, the shittier and dumber it is, the more fun it is for you because you can just laugh and be like, how did this get made? Then yeah, go see it. You'll probably love it. It's, you know, I kind of liked it a little bit because of that, but it's still, I just have such a distaste for these films, and then also just Paul W.S. Anderson just continues to make shit. And I don't know why he's still making shit. Like, go back and make good movies again, like Event Horizon. But you know, I mean, but if you're a legitimate fan of Resident Evil and you actually enjoy these movies legitimately and you're invested in them, I mean, it's basically the same as, you know, the previous, you know, 2 or 3 films. It's on that same level. You'll like it. Just, go watch it. Don't even bother with listening to me, rip on the film continuously and just say mean things about it. I mean, I don't like doing that because, people are employed making these movies, even if they're bad. But I don't get it. But going back and thinking about all these movies, because I've seen all of them, way back when I was a kid, when they first came out, they were cool. And I didn't think they were dumb. So I'm going to go and do reviews for all of them. I've started writing reviews for the first 3 of them. And so I'll try and get those out soon. And so look forward to those. But yeah, that was Resident Evil, the final chapter. Yeah, so that was Resident Evil, the final chapter, until we probably get Resident Evil New Beginning, or Resident Evil X, or Resident Evil Paul Anderson's New Nightmare, or some shit, because they always make them. They always make them. Hey, if you like this review, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos, subscribe, it helps. And thanks for watching. I'm Adam.